Hey, this is Chris. I'm going to teach you on guitar a strumming pattern that uses the thumb and the fingernails, which is a good way to strum if you're doing finger picking as well. So it's good to learn how to strum a bit without using a pick, even if you like to use a pick as well, which is sort of that's sort of the category I fall into. And maybe you can relate. And I'm also going to show you some chord progressions from my song Falling For You. So yeah, lots to learn in this lesson, so I hope you enjoy it. So we're going to start with this strumming pattern. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm hitting a bass note with my thumb. By the way, I've got a capo on fret 6 and I'm playing a G major chord. And I'm going to put all of the chords I use in a PDF, so you can download that in the comments below, in the blurb below I should say. So download that and use it as a reference. So what I'm doing with the strumming is going thumb, and then I'm using the fingernail of my index, and then I'm using that for down strums, and then for up strums I'm using the fingernail of my thumb. So that's the pattern I'm going. So it's thumb on the bass, and then I'm strumming down, up, down, up. And remember, as I said, use the fingernail on the index for down strums and fingernail of the thumb for up strums. So that's the basic strumming pattern. So enjoy that, practice it on one chord so you get comfortable with it, and then you can start to move it, transition chords and keep it going. So I'm going to show you the verse in the song Falling For You that I'll also attach a link to that song so you can listen to that song if you want. You can play along to it. And in the verse of that song, I'm doing this. So what I did then is 2 bars on G, 2 bars on C, add 9. And you'll see this in the chord chart, so check that out. And then a D, 1 bar on D and 1 bar on D sus4, okay? So again it goes. So it's quite challenging to get the thumb to hit the correct bass note, so just go slowly and even practice changing between 2 chords. So as an exercise, and you can watch your strumming hand and watch the thumb meet string 6 and then string 5, string 6, string 5, and it's sort of, you've got to develop that accuracy, and to be honest, I'm still developing it too. It takes a bit of practice. And then when you go to the D, of course, the thumb goes to the 4th string. So that is the verse, and now I'm going to show you the pre-chorus, which is, by the way, we're going to keep these 2 fingers there so that we use them on the G and the C and also the D sus4. And when we go to the D, of course, we take the pinky off, but we keep the ring finger there. So to start the pre-chorus, I'm going to go to an E minor 7, and again, I'm going to keep these 2 fingers there. So I'll do that again actually. So they're the first 2 chords. What I did is it's an E minor 7, and then it's an E minor 7 /D What that means is I'm going to take this middle finger off on the second chord and I'm going to hit the open D string. So you don't really need this index there either, but I just sort of leave it there. And then I go. So I'll play the whole thing one more time. Goes into the chorus. So I'm using an E minor 7 and then an E minor 7 / D by opening up the D string. And then I've got this chord, which is quite unusual, but it sounds really cool. It's a A9 / C sharp, I think. Something like that. It's kind of like an A7 chord with the third in the bass, but it's also got the ninth, which is why it's called an A9. I actually had to think about that today because I knew I was going to do this lesson and I was like, what the hell is this chord? So we've got a name for it now. So we've got an E minor 7, E minor 7 / D, and then a A9 / C sharp. So in other words, the bass is kind of going E, D, C sharp, C sharp, and then it's going back up to D. And I do a bar of D, a bar of D sus, a bar of D, a bar of D sus again. And then that brings us into the chorus. And the chorus is similar to the verse. So the chorus is going to go, it's going to alternate between G and C for a bit, and then it's going to go to D and D sus. That's it, and it repeats. Yeah, and then finally, so I'll do the chorus one more time. And again. And then finally, we have the bridge. I'm still getting used to using my thumb. I often use a pick to do strumming, but on this particular song when I was recording and I just started doing this, and I liked the sound, that brushing sound of the nails, because sometimes the pick can be a bit full on. So I'm just gonna hang in there and keep practicing this technique, and you can too, because I want to develop more accuracy with my thumb. Okay, so that's the basic sound. So the bridge, A minor, and then it's a G / B chord. And what I do is I just use the fingers 2 and 4 because it's easy to come from A minor to that. And then it also leads nicely into the next chord, which is C major. So, and then that leads into this chord again. Now sometimes I play this, and this is the the A9 / C sharp, and sometimes I use the third finger for the bass, and sometimes I use the pinky. Depends on where I'm coming from sometimes. And you can try both and work out, in each situation what what fingering you like, because most chords you can play them more than one way. You can finger them more than one way. So yeah, just be aware of that, because I think Joe Pass, the great jazz guitar player, said, you know, he likes to play chords all sorts of different ways. But you've got to start with learning it one way and then two ways. And like, for example, an A major, you know, sometimes I'll play it like this. Sometimes I'll play it like with just one finger. And sometimes I'll have my fingers arranged differently. Like I'll use these three, particularly when the capo's on and the frets are a bit smaller. I'll use these three. So that's at least three ways of playing A major. So do what's comfortable in each situation. So one more time, the bridge. And back to the chorus. So that's it from me, I should say. And that's it for you guys in terms of what I'm going to share today. So there's quite a bit there. So, you know, practice each part slowly and also focus on, you know, one thing I like to do is practice changing, you know, chords to warm up this hand, and practice the strumming and the picking, you know, the thumb picking with this hand to warm that up. And do it on each chord because the thumb's got to hit a different bass note on each chord, you know. And then that's probably the hardest one, I think, trying to hit that D string. Yeah, it is hard. Okay, so practice that, and then of course practice changing between two chords and then put it into the progressions I showed you, and ultimately see if you can play along to my song. That'd be a good way of tying it all together. So I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Keep strumming and playing, and yeah, I hope you enjoy working on this one, and yeah, have fun with it, and I'll see you on the next video.